I have the pleasure of sitting at graduation almost every quarter, being on the board. And it's my second favorite thing to do. First favorite thing to do is when I'm working with the leadership weekend with the prospective students. So why is graduation so much fun? Well, because I get to see the students, or the prospective students that started out with me at a leadership weekend, walk across the stage and get their diploma, become part of my world. The reason that's so important, Guy Riekman in his talk at the awards dinner was speaking about, they just came out with the new TLC. And he said, in the new TLC, it was titled Icons, Geniuses, and Mavericks. And while he was talking, he goes, you know what? We got that backwards. It's got to be mavericks, geniuses, and icons. Now, what does that mean? What's a maverick? A maverick is someone that doesn't follow the rules, that steps out of his comfort zone or her comfort zone on a regular basis, that's willing to risk it all for the betterment of mankind, that's willing to look beyond the limiting beliefs that everybody else has. When they have that opportunity to do that, and they can do it consistently, people start to look at them and say, wow, they're a genius. Look at what he discovered. Look at what he came up with. Look at what she did. He's a genius in it. And then if you still are lucky enough to stay in that realm, after a number of years, you become an icon. What's an icon? It's like people look to you for what's positive, look to you for what's possible. It's like, my God, he reached that. In chiropractic, what we're missing are a lot of the mavericks these days. And I had the pleasure of, I was just in Australia a couple of weeks ago. And when we talk about mavericks, one of the coolest things is there's this unwritten law in public speaking, is the further you fly, the bigger the authority you are. So I flew halfway around the world to come off as a great authority in Australia. But the point is, there are a couple of young chiropractors that want to change the face of chiropractic in Australia. So much so that they were willing to do anything. One of them is a guy named Sam Floriani. And Sam is an Australian by birth, but he's been practicing in Italy for like a half a dozen years. 30 years old, great guy. But he was so concerned about the direction of chiropractic in Australia that he decided to put on a program in Australia. It was like an inner winners program that Chuck and I do. But the reason he wanted to do it is he knew that if we came there, it would be a lot of principled chiropractic being spoken. We'd get people out of their comfort zones. We'd get them to change their lives. And I'm saying, yes, so this guy's going to put a program on in Australia, living in Italy, and we're flying halfway around the world. Now, just think about that. How many of you would believe that? I had a hard time. Long story short, he did it. And he put together a full house, and we went, and the program was fantastic. That was a year ago. We go back this year, and one of the participants from that program was a guy named Tim Shakespeare. Anybody ever see his stuff on Facebook? He is a young, powerful chiropractor in Australia. Right? So much so that he's willing to step out of his comfort zone enough that he's been brought up to the board several times for testimonials. You see, most of us tend to follow rules, and we figure life is about procedures and policies, and that's what we follow. And what I found over the last year or so, they're really good as a guide, but when your procedures and policies rob you of your vision and purpose, there's a problem. We get that mixed up. So when you can see these guys were so impacted last year that this year they didn't only do our program, they started their first Innate Summit. Now, to give you an idea of how Australia is, it's like moving into the ACA camp. All right, their schooling doesn't talk about subluxation. Some of the schools don't want it taught. So they really had to step out of their box. And one of the kids that came to our program, after the program, was sitting and talking to him, and he's like in his third year of school. Now, to me, chiropractic is a commitment. And those of you who know me, it's a lifestyle. So I want you to think about how committed you are, or how, I was going to say pissed off, but I'll say tinkled you get when you can't find parking, or you got to walk an extra 5 minutes. This kid, for 3 years, drives 3 hours and 22 minutes each way to go to class, 4 days a week. 4 days a week, because he has a family that's established and home, and he didn't want to uproot his family. But chiropractic was so important, and becoming a principled chiropractor was so important, that he chose to stick it out. He's been doing it for 3 years. They have 2 more years to go. So I ask you, are you a maverick? Are you willing to step out of your comfort zone? Are you willing to dare to be different? You know, it's really easy to give lip service to this, and everybody wants this, but I'm telling you, travel around the world and see what chiropractors are doing. See the battles that they're fighting. We have it easy here. In Australia, they tried to pass a law that they can never adjust children. All right? Can you imagine that? And there was only a handful of chiropractors that stood up against the masses and blew it out of the water. Those are the mavericks. So me being here at Life is about looking for the mavericks. It's not looking for the students that are in the comfort zone, that'll move around in the comfort zone and be really good and not even test the water. I want somebody that's going to risk their neck for what they believe, that is going to be willing to step out for what they believe. You know, one of the things Eric was talking about is like perfection. How many people do you know wait for the perfect moment to do something? And to deal with perfection is, what does it do? It just robs you of every friggin' opportunity in your life. It keeps you from progressing. Perfection is procrastination. So I'm here to tell you, there's no perfect moment. There's no perfect you. There's progress. There's growth. There's being happy where you're at, just not content. Right? What does that mean? If my life never changed, I'm happy. But I'm not content because there's more to it. There's more people I can touch. There's more places I can go. There's more people in the world out there. Being part of Life University is the most exciting thing. We're going to Rome to open up a school. Now, that may not seem like a lot to you, but a million years ago, one of Sid's visions was chiropractic around the world. If once we get a footprint in Europe, the entire European nation is going to change the way they think about chiropractic. Right? There was a half a dozen schools throughout Europe that got together and wanted to come up with a mandate, and they wanted to just say what subluxation is it's a historical perspective that no longer exists in chiropractic. And that's what they want taught in their schools. How many of you would accept that? Right? See, so if you're not willing to step up, then get out. If you're not willing to make a difference, then leave. There are too many sheep running around in our profession that just following the easy path. And what I'm saying is, get out of your own way. Get excited, willing to make that difference. You know, and also start trusting in the universe, like Kathy was talking about that. Start thinking about, what are you putting out into the world? What energy are you putting out? Anybody here know Joe Dispenza or know of him? Right? If you don't, as a student, you need to start reading his books. I would start with You Are the Placebo. That's the easy one. If you're a head case, read Evolve Your Brain. It talks about how we tap into the quantum field. How do you believe in that field? And see, to me, that's what a maverick does, because a maverick trusts innately that the universe is always on his side or her side, that the universe is always looking out for you. And whatever you put out in that quantum field, and you put it out in a thought, and you put some emotion behind it, that's why when you got up and started applauding. Didn't it feel better when you were applauding loud and got the golf applause? Because you put your life in it, you put your passion in it, you put your excitement in it. You know, every once in a while, you got to let your body know that you're excited, or sometimes you got to let your brain know that it's excited, so you should jump up, move around. I hate lecturing all the time. That's why experiential training is so much fun. It's taking you out of your comfort zone. You learn. How do you learn most? It's when you're playing, when you're enjoying. Like we talk about seminars, and you know, I went to, used to come down to Atlanta 4 times a year for like 18 years. After the first 2 years, I was never in the room. And I'm not saying you guys should all run out, but I was never in the room. I was busy learning and hanging out and doing hallway conversations and hanging out at the bars with the movers and shakers, the people that dare to step out of their comfort zone. Life wouldn't be here if people didn't step out of their comfort zone. The resurrection of life would have never happened if we followed protocol and followed the rules. It's the mavericks like Chuck Ribley and John Hoffman that changed that. They're willing to step up. Joe Lupo getting the funding. That's the maverick. Those are the ones that are saying, we're not taking it. The universe didn't put this college here for it to go down. We're the voice in chiropractic. Now, you guys may not understand it, but travel around the world. You mention life, and if it's another school, they usually shake because they're nervous about the amount of power that we have in showing up. But the coolest thing about power, especially in this situation, is life is constantly and continually growing and expanding and saying, how many more people can we turn on to chiropractic? Our chiropractic. How much of the world can we step into? We get letters and calls every week from different countries that want us to open up a school there. Name another school in the country that's getting those calls. The reason we do it is because we never gave in. We never gave up. We never quit. We never took no for an answer. So in your life, what are you doing? In your practice, what are you doing? You know, this is what goes on. You have to own it. You have to live it. We're at lunch today and we're talking about, you know, some of the people that we've run into over the years who think chiropractic is a profession. And it's a business. They go to work and then they come home and they're done with the business. All right? Chiropractic is my life. You know, it's like they said, you cut an orange open, it bleeds orange. You squeeze orange juice. It's not apple juice. It's not lemon juice. It's orange juice. Well, when you get a chiropractor that's so committed and so dedicated and owns the principle, you cut us open, the only thing that pours out is more chiropractic. All right? My kids were brought up chiropractic, you know, and two out of the three are chiropractors. Why does that happen? Because it's so difficult to live in the real world when you understand how cool the chiropractic world is. All right? So when you're going from that maverick and you're willing to step out and you're constantly willing to risk, you know, I'll use Dr. Rickman as it. You know, he was a maverick when he came here that went to save the school with Dr. Ribley. Now everybody goes, wow, you know, he was a genius. Look at what he did. Nobody saw the backstory. And now, oh man, here's an icon. You know, it wasn't that I'm the icon and then I'm smart and now I can go out and fight. No, you fight the fight without even thinking about it. You fight the fight because it's right. And that's what you have to do in your practice. That's what you have to do as a student. You know, and I've said this to most of the students that I've spoke to, all of you have to jump through the same damn hoops. I don't care what, and you know what? Every chiropractic school I've spoken at, every place around the world, you guys all have similar hoops. You get to choose how you jump through the hoops. Right? I was talking to one student that was going to one of the schools in Australia. He goes, well, the problem with the hoops are, the first hoop was not too difficult to jump through. No, it's actually someone here yesterday. He goes, but the second hoop, there was flames around it. The third hoop, there were spikes, and it's getting smaller. And the fourth hoop, there's flames and spikes, and there's alligators on the other side. And the deal is, it's still a hoop. And no matter what you put in, you still have to jump through it. So realize, and both Eric and Kathy said it, it's your choice. How do you look at it? What do you focus on? Are you looking through school as, wow, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread? Or you're looking at it, this is such a pain in the butt, I gotta work so hard, I hate the sciences, I don't want this, I just want to get that. What's motivating you to get through? And even with this kid in Australia that's commuting 7 hours a day, what's motivating him to get through is he wants the piece of paper that says he has the ability to turn on life the way he wants to do it. So if that's the only thing you do is focus on that piece of paper and focus on turning on that life, that's what that piece of paper gives you. And when you're in practice, you already got that piece of paper. How much value do you hold in it? How excited are you that you have it? I'm in practice since 1978. That's a lot of years. Half this class, half these people in here weren't even born then. All right? But you know what? Every time I go into my practice, it's just as exciting as it was the first day because I get the opportunity to turn on life. I don't take care of neck pain and back pain even though they're in the practice. I take care of life. That's the excitement. I don't know anybody that's excited about a hot low back or about sciatica. I do know people that are really excited about an infant that has asthma and they get adjusted and the asthma disappears. Or someone, an infant or a baby where their arm is up and they've been paralyzed and they get adjusted and their arm drops. Or an autistic kid that all of a sudden changes his level on the spectrum. Or someone who has a tumor and they get adjusted and the tumor disappears. That's the excitement in chiropractic. It's not neck pain, back pain. You know, it really isn't. And if that's it, it gets really very boring. You know, just think of spending your entire day just pushing bones. It's like being on the assembly plant, and like Joe said in Detroit, left bolt puller. Yep, another car. Yep, another car. Yep, another car. Compared to turn on life, turn on life, turn on life. And just step back and watch the magic of innate flow. Watch how universal intelligence works through that body, you know, animating the body and doing things that you can never imagine happen. And just think all you have to do is take credit and have the intention that when you put your hands on somebody's body, you're changing their life. You never know how. And like BJ would say, you never know how far-reaching something you may think so do will affect the lives of others. When you adjust somebody, you don't know what's going to happen in their life. Where we've had patients come in and go, you know, ever since you started adjusting my husband, he stopped beating the kids. Was I adjusting the husband for beating the kids? If I knew it, I would probably beat the husband. All right? You don't know. Or I had an infant. A baby came in 3 weeks, they were 3 weeks old. The mother came in, and I said, you mind if I check the baby? She goes, yeah, sure. And I adjusted the baby. Nothing, no case history, everything you're not supposed to do. So, so the mother comes back 2 days later, and she goes, wow, I got to tell you, what did you do to the baby? And your mind always goes, I don't know, what did I do to the baby? You know? And she goes, she's been constipated for the last 2 weeks, almost since she's been born, and she's had reflux. And this is the first time since she's been born that the reflux is gone, and she went to the bathroom like 4 times. Now, was that a preconceived idea that the baby knew that I was adjusting her atlas and this was, I had no idea what was going to happen. But I did know that I trust innate, and in trusting innate, I knew that that baby was healthier without a subluxation than with a subluxation, so I performed the best that I could do. That's what I charge you with doing. It's not about perfection. It's about being the best you can do and owning the principles of chiropractic. That foundation will allow you to grow and be as big, as wealthy, and as happy as you could ever imagine. Thank you.